Welcome to the Aquatics Life, the aquatic spotlight of the daily Parks and Rec show. From swimming and water safety to aquatic fitness and recreation, we explore the people, programs, and ideas making waves in communities everywhere. Hosted by Wesley King, every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is the Aquatics Life, where recreation meets the water.
In this episode, Wesley King and Craig LeBlanc discuss aquatics programming, swim safety, parent education, and innovative ways aquatic centers can better serve their communities while creating safe, engaging, and impactful experiences for all ages.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We are live again with our latest addition to the family of shows with DPR's media company, the Aquatics Life, with our show host and aquatics extraordinaire, Wesley King. And so we had a great episode last Friday. If you did not check it out, I learned more in that one episode about aquatics than I did, 10 years being in and around Parks and Rec. I'm just blown away by the amount of knowledge and specialized skills that goes into running an aquatic center. And fortunately, our show host for this, Wesley, has just spent decades in this industry, totally immersed in it and helping advise and give great counsel and share wisdom about, aquatics, programming, revenue, community impact. I mean, you name it, he's pretty much probably faced many of the problems that you will run into. And so in great Parks and Rec fashion, we encourage people to take and steal and borrow and make it their own from all over the country. And Wesley has in his head all the different ways that you could run these programs well. He also can help you not step on a bunch of landmines if you're new to running an aquatic center. And by the way, these are not tiny investments. I mean, I've seen some price tags from 10 million all the way up to 50 million for an aquatic center attached to a community. And this is one of the great services that Parks and Rec provides for their community, that if the community didn't provide, an Olympic-sized pool and all the lifeguards and manage all that, then a lot of children would just never even have access to the programming that only a city could offer, and maybe only some people that obviously can afford to put their kids in private swim lessons at like a little country club. Of course, they can afford it, but look how many kids get left behind that aren't able to learn a life-saving skill, and then the community really can't maximize how they impact their community without a community swimming pool. And so I'm really excited to have this show because aquatics has always been a big chunk of what we do, and it's of course a big capital expense to build one and then to manage one. As you can see, if you watched last week's show, it takes a lot. And by the way, big shout out to all the aquatic specialists working across the country and all the aquatic center directors. They work tirelessly, and they have a tremendous passion, for what they do on the aquatic side of Parks and Rec. And per usual, Parks and Rec is just like the general umbrella, and underneath it, you see all these little things that are in their own right a great skill set and a great service that people provide, that the Parks and Rec department provides to their community. And aquatics is just one of those great things that you find in community and in the Parks and Rec department. So, but before we get started, we're going to play a couple of promos. One is just ones that we're designing as far as, what is the Daily Parks and Rec show? What are these family of shows? And so we made like a little 1 minute explainer of what we're doing, the family of shows, when they air, the hosts, the topics we'll be covering. And then the second promotion is going to go big shout out to Outdoor Link, which is one of our primary and early sponsors of the Daily Parks and Rec show. Thank you, Dave, Tasha, DJ. DJ's the owner, really awesome entrepreneur out of Huntsville, Alabama. And so imagine if you have, or how we have like these smart homes where everything kind of turns on automatically, the lights, the air conditioning, the garage door opens. So imagine if your whole city could be as connected as your modern day smart home. And so this is what Outdoor Link does. They help install the hardware and the Wi-Fi connections so that you can run your parks, your baseball fields, your splash pads, your bathroom door locks all from a centralized location, and not have to be making constant physical copies of keys and padlocks to give to coaches. And next thing you know, you got hundreds or thousands of these keys and padlocks floating around all over your whole city. You could actually be controlling everything from a centralized location and just run your whole parks department much more efficiently. And so if you want to learn more about that, and by the way, at a great cost, I think one of their hardware devices costs about $950, and you can control, 4 different baseball fields, which is a fraction of the cost of what's out there right now. So if you want to learn more about that, just hit me up on LinkedIn and I'll help connect you with Dave and Tasha and the team over there. So, Jovi, why don't you go ahead and run those 2 promos? And when we come right back, we'll start another great aquatics conversation with Wesley King.
Welcome to DPRS Media Network, the voice of parks and recreation professionals, where leadership grows, facilities thrive, and communities connect. Leadership Series, insights from the leaders shaping our industry. Facility maintenance, the backbone of safe and sustainable spaces. Young Professionals Network, empowering the next generation of parks and rec leaders. The Rec Room, real conversations, real stories, real impact. Youth Sports Mastery, elevating the game for athletes and communities. Smart Parks Forward, innovation driving the future of recreation. On the front line, honoring those who serve our communities every day. Athletes Commute, the journey behind the performance. The Aquatics Life, everything aquatics, safety, staffing, sustainability. Safe Spaces and Green Spaces, a show exploring the connection between nature and mental well-being. And we don't just tell the stories, we show up where it happens. From local gatherings to national parks and recreation conferences, DPRS Media Network is on the ground, capturing conversations, highlighting innovation, and amplifying the voices shaping our industry's future. DPRS Media Network, connecting parks, empowering people, inspiring communities.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, let's go and bring Wesley up on stage. And we will start our conversation about aquatics. Let's see.
Hello.
Wesley, man, how's it going? How's your week treat you?
It's great. My Fighting Illini won. Pete Crow Armstrong for the Cubs got signed. By the way, he's on the Pat McAfee show right now. So there's 100,000 people that aren't listening to me because they're listening to Pete Crow Armstrong and Pat McAfee. So next week, they'll all come back to us. But baseball's here, and we get to talk aquatics during spring break. And we get to talk about programming and all the wonderful things we're doing in the industry to make the pools safe and profitable and programmed, and swim lessons and all the good things. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and kick it off with programming. That's a big deal, and there's so many things that you can do in your swimming pool. And actually I heard of one yesterday, and it was a director, or maybe it was the day before. It was a director in Carrollton, Texas. That's who it was. Let me see if I can remember. It was Justin Swaney, Carrollton, Texas. So the day before they kind of close their pool, right before it goes down, they have like a puppy day or a dog
I
day.
knew you were going to say doggy day. I should have written it on a card and
Doggy
sealed
day.
it in an envelope. Doggy day. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he says, because obviously you're getting ready to shut down your pool, so you got dogs and stuff going in there, and they encourage everybody to bring their dog, and they just go play, and then they'll have these little games for the dogs to go fetch and catch a stick and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, what a unique way to kind of use your pool. Many of ways you can use your pool. So you've actually heard of this before then?
Oh, heard of it? Are you kidding? My dog has passed. A small little schnoodle, but yes, we hosted mini dog days, and again, literally dog days of the summer. But in the Midwest, this is a real thing, and a lot of people walk their dogs there, and the dogs do love the water, and you should do it. When no one else is going to be in the water, and you're going to drain it after. But yeah, it is absolutely a blast and can be done properly and safely. And you need a cleanup crew for sure, but it is a good time. That's so awesome. Yeah, and great shout outs.
Yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and run that as a sample program. So let's say you don't have a doggy day.
Right.
All right. So what's the setup? What's the rules? Don't make this mistake. I did this before.
Yeah. So whether it's doggy days or swim lessons or water aerobics, I think the main takeaway is, why are we doing it? Right. We know why we have doggy days, because the next day the pool is closed.
Right.
We know why we have swim lessons. And I'll take a moment too to really encourage everybody to use the facts, use the data, right? One piece of data says that if a child has a swim lesson approximately 4 to 6 weeks in a row, they have an 88% less chance of drowning, right? Just 6 weeks, right? Again, and there's so much research out there that says if you put a child or an adult in and around a water in a safe manner over a period of time, their chances of drowning decrease greatly. So whether it's swim lessons, whether it's water aerobics and fitness for an active older adult population, and the studies that talk about their physical mobility, and the social research that comes together with people participating in group exercise, and not just the fitness side, but the mental well-being, right? Use that research to support whatever program you want to launch, you want to promote, you want to get bidded or push to the public. So I always want to kind of frame that to say, whatever you and I are, Craig, talking about, or whatever, have that in the back of their mind, that there is a ton of research and data that will support the factual life savings, the factual revenue, et cetera, behind what you're doing. So with that caveat out of the way, swim lessons, right? Everybody's got them. Everybody starts them around 3 years old, maybe 3.5, 2.5, and that's awesome. And I love it. And we all have our swim instructors, and we all have ratios, 3 kids, 4 kids, private swim lessons. Are we all representing that in a way that the public can understand? And I don't mean the 8-page brochure where you have to squeeze in 20 different pieces of information in one box 3 months from now because the flyer has to be ready. We all know we have to submit our information to marketing ahead of time. We all know we have to describe our swim lessons and our services in a little box, in a booklet, in a shiny paper that everybody gets printed. What I'm talking about is what you're doing with those 3 and 4-year-olds. What you're doing with the 5 and 6-year-olds. You're not teaching swim lessons, Craig. You're providing an experience that will reduce the likelihood of drowning.
I love that.
That's a different message.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But if we break down level 1s, level 2s, level 3s, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, my bet is all the people listening, including my man, Jose Gallagher, Rip Current Sports. There you go, Jose. You said you're listening. Now your shout out. Whether you're Jose, whether you're an aquatic director, whether you're a manager, how are you breaking out the 3 and 4-year-olds, the 5 and 6-year-olds, the good swimmers, the level 2 swimmers? In basketball, you're on a team. In
Mm.
karate, you get a belt color. So, along with providing swim lessons and a water safety experience, I think one of the biggest things we can all learn from and all get better at, or at least think about, is how are we presenting a level 2 swimmer? How are we presenting learning to float? How are we presenting putting your face in the water? And that's then how we get to swim lessons.
Ah, nice. Now, when you were talking, I was thinking, what are the basic rules that you teach someone? It's just etiquette around the pool. So let's say a kid's
Mm,
shows up for swimming. He's never swam before, never been around a pool. This might be his first time ever around a swimming
true.
pool. What are the not in the pool yet rules that y'all kind of go over with the kid?
Great question. And again, going back to facts, Craig, I bet it's a very high percentage that a local community member child, their first experience in an aquatic environment is the park district,
Hmm.
is who's listening to this. So this is a great question. Number one, it doesn't start on the pool deck, Craig.
Hmm.
I would contend it starts at your front door, it starts in your parking lot, it starts at your reception. Whether it's an arrow that tells you where the pool is, so you're not getting lost and confused, so we don't have any lost child. Whether it's having something in the locker room that designates this is where the children and families go, so a child doesn't lock themselves in a locker accidentally. And we haven't even gotten on the pool deck yet, right? And
Right.
your question is the pool deck. So I know I'm not skirting the question, but that's the mentality is we think pool safety begins when we see water. Pool safety begins when we start thinking about water.
Mm,
When the parent puts the child in the car and says, we're going to go to swim lessons today, tell me one thing you're going to do on the pool deck that will keep you safe.
nice.
As opposed to tell me one thing you learned in swimming, still a good question, but it's a very different mentality for that child when they're in the car, taking their coat off, getting changed. Now, I'm on the pool deck and I put an arrow in place and I put a place for the kids to go. Now, the number one thing, Craig, is I don't want them thinking about that water. I
Mm,
don't want them to even think there's water near them until I, as the instructor or the deck lead or the deck supervisor, whatever title we want to give ourselves, we can make them all up until I have dictated it is now time to move forward physically and mentally in the water. We're not putting our feet in on the side. No, 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 no. We're not putting our strollers near the pool deck. No, 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 no. It is as close to militant as you could think without me getting letters sent to my home.
yep.
Because if I'm thinking about the attraction, I'm going to do the attraction.
Mhm.
So I want that child to think about safety, procedure, step-by-step process, almost like a kata in karate, almost like a step-by-step action, no emotion. And then when my teacher says, okay, class, come to me. Okay, class, now we teach the child to flip the switch. Now we let the child engage and ask questions and play along. But until we are ready as lifeguards and leaders, we really have to teach that child there's so many other pieces to this beyond the water.
Mm. Okay, so since we're still on the not in the pool yet, how do
Mm.
we run a locker room?
Oh, I'll tell you what, we say that differently. How do we walk a locker room?
Yes, even better.
I know people that know me know there's Wes and his puns. Get ready. We're doing this every Friday, baby. And Pete Crow Armstrong's no longer on Pat McAfee. So it's me and Craig, right?
Yeah.
But that's it. How are we communicating what we expect? And so without being cheesy, we take the word run out of our vocabulary.
Mm,
We insert it with process. We insert it with location. We insert it with, yes, signage. But there's the opposite of we want to tell every other member, every other adult, this is when children will be here. So if you reverse engineer it or flip the script and we remove the children and say, all right, I have to warn every active older adult, every potential disabled or handicapped individual that might need a stall or a cane, that at this time of day, there's going to be a bunch of rugrats running around.
mm,
And as much as the children can get injured and cause chaos in the locker room, they can. Most likely is they're going to cause someone else to have a problem. Someone who pulled the curtain open in a women's shower with a 7-year-old boy.
mm.
two kids were fighting in a corner and tripped up somebody's cane. And
Mm,
so how you run the locker room is you take the word run away and you establish the expectations and the parameters for all the adults. And so they
mm,
know at 4:30, I better get cleaned and get out because I know kids are coming. And then
mm,
have a pool attendant. The second thing is have a human, just like we have a lifeguard, just like we have somebody in charge of swim lessons. That locker room is part of your business
mm,
because if the member gets mad, the member starts paying, and the member's check is much bigger than the swim lesson check.
mm.
And
Yep.
so, and I've learned this the hard way. This is not Wes saying I figured it out. No, this is Wes battling for locker room space and telling members, but we're saving lives. And the member says, you can save as much lives as you want. But when I quit and 10 of my friends quit, you just lost a big membership check.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had to really understand the impact I was having on that locker room. Another example, towels. My mom was a nurse for 30 years, and I hope she's still listening. Be nice to the nurses. If you ever see Patch Adams, my mom wanted me to be a doctor, not because I was smart, but because she thought I was like Patch Adams and Robin Williams. I was kind of
Ah,
smart. The point is, be nice to the nurses. Be nice to the locker room attendants. Be nice to the towels. When your children come in and they take up every towel, and it takes 2 hours to do laundry, and then the PM exerciser comes in, the fitness floor team comes in, and there's no towels, it's because you used them all and didn't tell anybody. It's because
mm,
your kids grabbed 7 towels for a 4-year-old because they didn't want to be cold, and you didn't warn anybody that your wonderful aquatic business that we all love, that's saving lives, just made 50% of your membership unhappy at 7 o'clock at night.
mm,
Understand all the parameters. So how do you walk a locker room? You take every aspect. Do I have a key code to get locks open if somebody locks them in there? Have I created open walkways and even little footprints on the floor for my kids to step on and follow so they know how to get to the pool and not to the sauna? Right? I
oh
put
yeah.
little footprints, right? Do I put a sign up? I know signs. I know signs. I get. But do I put something temporary up that says from 4 to 6 p.m., there will be a high volume of children? Please see Wesley King. Do not go to membership. Don't go to the fitness floor. Hunt me down, and I will answer your questions. Because if you don't see me, you're going to complain to somebody else. So
Yeah.
there's another piece of how to walk a locker room. Assign accountability. Tell the members who pay for the locker room who to go to when they're mad about your aquatic program.
Mm.
So there's
Now,
3. Go ahead. Yeah.
but now, are there any, it almost seems like you need somewhat of an orientation for the parents, the people bringing the children, because now I'm thinking of it, okay, uh, originally I was saying, I just have stuff for the children. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I have to have programming for the people bringing the children, make sure they have their little sandals when they go so they don't get like a foot infection in the locker room. Make
Mhm.
sure
Mhm.
make sure they bring a towel if that's what it is, they need.
Are we having goggles or not?
Yeah.
And swim diapers and keep going, Craig. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so then what's the kind of, I guess, programming? I don't even know if that's the right
Yeah.
word, but how do you get ready for these parents that maybe they don't know how to swim. This is the first time they've brought anybody to a swim
Right.
lesson, and they don't even know how to be the parent of a child getting ready to take a swim lesson.
We mentioned if it's the child's first time being around an aquatic environment, it's a pretty good chance, especially parts of this country, that it's the adult's first time being around an aquatic environment.
Mm,
So, one way to get Wesley King to shut up is to have a parent orientation. And
mm,
you know why I stopped talking is because the chances are I'm not the one going to be on the pool deck every day. So
mm,
who gets to talk is the assigned swim lesson supervisor, coordinator, liaison, some face and name and human that parent will see every day.
mm,
And we start with a coffee. We start with a brunch. We've done basketball. We have done parent orientation and never been in the pool before because I knew the community I was in, no parent is going to sign up to spend time sitting in that hot, muggy pool and not be able to get in the water, or they're afraid of the water.
Mm.
We've done parent orientations in the park. We've done them with kids, without kids. We've also done parent orientations in the pool because we knew all of those parents had siblings, had relatives, had older kids, had 2 or 3 kids. We knew the schedules, and we said, let's do a family swim. And that's our parent orientation because guess what, Craig? Every parent got instructions on how to use the building, where to
Yes.
park, and it was not day 1 of class, mind you. No, no, no. This was a Saturday afternoon, or this was a Friday night, or this was a week before. So when the parent shows up on the first day of class and they struggle through the locker room and they fumble through their clothes, at least they've done it once before,
Yeah.
right? We have junior high orientation, we have high school orientation, big buildings, a lot of things happening, but we don't do parent orientation well enough or consistently enough.
Yeah.
And don't lead it with the person that's disconnected with the program.
Yeah.
But absolutely parent orientation for sure.
Yeah, it's I really like how you framed it as this is how you use the building. And because I know probably from the night before when the kid's going to sleep, he's thinking, I'm going to run out the car and dive straight in the pool. That's on him.
Because we've told them to think that probably too, by the way. We didn't know
Right.
any better. Hey, we're going to have so much fun.
Right.
And then the parent has to be the disciplinarian,
Right.
right? But mommy, you said I could go in and like, oh, actually, I got to fill out this checklist and I got to do this thing. And it's the same thing when you take your kids to an indoor playland.
Yeah.
If you don't sign the waiver digitally the day before, you're standing at the thing signing the waiver now. And the kid is looking up at all the stuff. Swim lessons are no different.
Yeah.
They're no different, except, there's the risk of life and death in the pool.
Yeah.
So we should probably take it a little more seriously.
Yeah. Man, how do y'all bottle that excitement? Because it's almost like taking the kid to like a fairground. They just envision themselves on the roller coaster, but there's so much stuff that
The other
happens.
thing is, if I'm very afraid, they envision themselves the opposite of it. Freddy Krueger is in front of me. And so now we have to rework the system to say, it's okay, Johnny and Susie. It's okay, Sally. We have a person walking you through. We have footprints to follow. We have fun designs to follow. We have a way to acclimate you to this environment because you showed up scared. And so it's a very big dichotomy. And I think that's why all this conversation is so important, because we have to understand if the first time you're talking about this is the first time they're seeing the pool, we have a problem. Just like last week, I said, if the only time you're talking to water aerobics team is there's an echo, we're disconnected.
Yeah.
Same thing here. If the first time you're engaging with that child or parent is the moment they're getting in the water, we've disserviced them.
Yeah.
In general speaking, time, space, allotment. But yeah.
It would be great if somebody made like a universal video before you watch this, 15-minute onboarding process. We're going to go over it when you get here already, but that way they're somewhat familiar.
There are people out there, park districts and organizations that do that. And I know we're going to go to a commercial break, but hopefully the audience is still with us. There's a program called Code Adam. And it is a lost child drill created by John Walsh, who founded America's Most Wanted. John Walsh's son was abducted, and his name was Adam. Code Adam is free. It is what you're talking about, Craig, but just for a missing child. You go on, you watch Kmart videos, mall videos, building videos, and then your property can implement that same strategy based on what we're talking about right now. Yeah. And doing that same sort of training. And again, it's free. And you get a sticker, you put it on your window that says, we are a Code Adam facility. But it's that exact model, Craig, of behavior. Again, the missing child component, but that's the same thing we do for customer service for swim lessons is let's show you how to use the building safely. But again, Code Adam is a free perk that you can use and train your staff to promote what you're doing safely.
It's crazy. Last week on X, I saw an article that said, when your child gets lost, we're training them to go find us. But you actually don't want them to do that. You want to train them to stop, hold still, because the more they move around looking for mom and dad, the search area just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And they said, what you want to do, train your child to just stop and look for a mom with kids.
I have
And
goosebumps. I have goosebumps.
that you-
We also have code words because here's the
yeah,
thing. If the child looks lost, guess what? The person looking for a lost child is going to find you much quicker. And there's
yeah.
studies that show that based on child behavior. So I won't get into it. But the second thing is we have code words. You don't radio lost child. You radio code green. You
Mm,
radio happy Sunday. You radio something that alerts the staff of what you just described. There is somebody
mm,
that might not belong or somebody that is lost either way, but that way the potential challenging humans or situations are not alerted. But you hit the nail on the head. Teach the child to find a commonality, find a common situation as opposed to
mm.
look lost. Spot on.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, man, that first 30 minutes lasted like 10 seconds.
Fair.
It seems like
It's
we barely
aquatics,
started.
baby. That's how we go.
Okay, so we have two great little promos that we made for attending the state conferences. So, as everybody knows in Parks and Rec, every state has a state association for the Parks and Rec departments and aquatics directors and pretty much everybody in Parks and Recreation. And they put on these annual events 2 or 3 days. By the way, if you haven't attended one or you don't have your department scheduled to go to this is just a great resource for everybody in your department to meet their counterparts across the country or across the state and share best practices, stuff like that. And so they do get a ton out of it. It's not just a big party that you're sending your staff to. It's actually a great educational event, and it's a great place to network and find these mentors so that your staff is not having to reinvent the wheel every time they show up at work. They can find a department that's way ahead of them and share game plans, and they're just so much more efficient at distributing this information. And so we recently attended in late January IRPA in Illinois. Excuse me. Yes,
No
it was
S. No S. Illinois.
IRPA. Had a great convention. I think it's the biggest in the country. They had like 5,000 attendees, 400 or 500 vendors. It was insane how big it was. And a big shout out to Amelia for sponsoring us to go to that. And then a few weeks ago, maybe a month now, we just got back from California, another great state that does a massive convention. Big shout out to Steph Stevens, who runs that. And a big thank you to all the executive directors that work tirelessly to put these events on. And so we'll play the two promos for that. And then we come back, we'll have another great conversation with Wesley.
It started with a shared purpose, a vision to bring people together, to inspire, to learn, and to lead. And at CPRS Conference 2026, that vision came to life. From every conversation to every connection made, this wasn't just an event, it was a community in motion. Ideas were challenged, perspectives were expanded, and leaders stepped forward, ready to shape the future of parks and recreation. At DPRS Media Network, we had the privilege of capturing it all. The passion, the innovation, the stories that deserve to be seen and heard. Because these moments don't just stay here, they ripple outward into communities, into programs, into lives. To the organizers, the speakers, the partners, and every single attendee, thank you for showing up, for sharing your voice, and for being part of something bigger than all of us. This is more than a conference. This is a movement. And DPRS Media Network will continue to tell your story every step of the way. We'll see you at the next one. This year, we didn't just attend an event. We became part of something bigger. IPRA 2026 brought together leaders, innovators, and community builders, all united by one mission: to strengthen parks, recreation, and the people they serve. For DPRS Media Network, it was an honor to join IPRA 2026 and take part in meaningful, real-time conversations, capturing stories and amplifying voices that matter. To IPRA, thank you for creating a space where collaboration thrives and the future of parks and recreation is shaped together. We extend our deepest gratitude to Amelia and all our partners who made these live interviews possible. IPRA 2026 wasn't just an event, it was a reminder that when communities connect and stories are shared, impact follows. From all of us at DPRS Media Network, thank you, IPRA. Thank you, partners and sponsors. We're honored to stand with you and excited for what's next.
All right. So I know we're trying to cover programming, revenue, community impact, and we didn't even get started on programming yet, and we're already at the halfway point.
You can blame me for that.
So let's go into programming. So how do you describe what programming is at an aquatic center?
It's a great question. A lot of people will say 6 months to 99 years, right? That's an easy way we service everybody. And the truth is, it's true. Really, but what you can break it down in is to babies. Can they walk, right? So the mom and tot aqua babies, parent tot classes, by the way, they should be big money makers because they're high ratio and they should connect to the community. But can you walk? Can you talk? Second, can you swim or can you not swim, right? The 3-year-old to the 6.5-year-old. Are you water safe? That's the swim lesson structure, level placement, what traditional. And included in that is private swim lessons, of course, and things like that. And then we move to what could almost be advanced, competitive, junior swim, pre-swim club, right? So that's the 8-9-year-olds or older that really have established the capability and the desire to swim on a regular basis, maybe more than once a week. I've only described children, by the way.
Right.
And because that's what we often think of, right? Adults, 37 to 41% of adults in this country do not know how to swim, the average adult. If you change your skin color and your pocketbook, that number can double. So when we talk about swimming lessons and programming, that's one section of it, and we generate revenue. Now let's talk about the vertical side of it. And we teased this a few weeks ago, but the vertical side of it is where you should have community, membership, revenue, retention. And yes, revenue can come from vertical programming. And that's where we get into the fun things, not just water fitness and water exercise, but that's where we get into national franchise programs. Sarah Cooperman, Les Mills, very mega taught programming where the instructors are trained nationally and they're using curriculum and they're paying to hold their certifications. And we've got big classes. And then we sidestep that, and then we're doing mat classes and spin classes in the water. And so there's all these subsets of traditional programming. And I think that's where the Park District has really been caught in the middle, because we're seeing all these offshoots of franchise swim schools, adaptive swim programming, survival swimming, but personalized one-on-one coaching. And we as a Park District have to serve everybody. And so, and we have to serve at a price point that we might not be able to change. In some parts of the country, you can walk into your Park District and get lessons for like $4 a class.
Wow.
Some Park Districts have the ability to upcharge and add perks and add benefits and add bonuses and add membership perks because of their structure. Well, I can't compete with the fancy new shiny star if my price has to be this way. But on the opposite end, if my price is too low, then I'm looked at as maybe lesser than, because you're only charging $4. How good could your instructors be? And we never express to the world how good our instructors actually are, and that our price point is a value. And it's dictated by the board or by the community or by the average income of our residents. And so being able to take the program question and break it down by age, by skill, and then the subset, and then market what we're offering. That's why it's a hard question to answer. But that's the key, is age and skill and subset demographics of pricing. Yeah.
You know, we have these 5-star restaurants, 5-star hotels, where there's some type of ranking system where you say, wow, this restaurant must really have it together. They've got 5 stars. And then we've got these whole review things on the social
Michelin
media
stars even.
Yeah.
Keep going. You can go higher than,
Is there something like that for aquatic centers where a parent looking for a show that's got their act together, I'm looking for the
Mhm.
5-star aquatic center or something. Is there something like that out there that kind of rates your lifeguards, your swim
Um,
instruction, stuff like that?
Other than Yelp, you could maybe say like political campaigns, whoever has the most money to advertise the most.
Right.
But there isn't, and I'll go back to because there is no national standard.
Mm.
There is only one rule. Nicole Fairfield, where are you? My Brunswick, our first guest, April 10th or 11th, that Friday, Nicole Fairfield. She loves to make fun of me because I love to say that Virginia Graham Baker, VGB, is the only law in the country. So to your point, Craig, asking, is there a measurement tool? There isn't because all 50 states operate differently. Now, there are health inspection reports. There are audits for safety, but you have to hire a company to do that. There are amazing companies, Starguard, Ellis, Red Cross. I can go on, and they will come in and audit your lifeguards. They'll evaluate your team. They'll give you a gold star. You put it on Facebook for safety.
Mm.
You're not asking about safety. You're asking about, is this the place that is going to be good and healthy and progressive for my child swimming or
Mm.
programming or my grandmother's water fitness?
Yeah.
And the answer is members. The answer is the people using your current facility is how you get to your aggregate, Craig. Are you getting the surveys? Are you getting feedback? Are you getting the stories and the measurements from your program? And you can track swim lesson progress and you can track how long the kid can float. But does that parent feel safe?
Mm.
They're just signing up because they have nowhere else to go. That's
Yeah.
cool. But are we getting that's the feedback you're asking for, Craig.
Yeah.
No, there's not a national ranking system in this sort of subset of swim lessons.
Yeah, so it's almost like every aquatic center is kind of on their own to maybe get feedback from their users to say, and then maybe you can post on social media, rated 5-star by parents who, put their children in our swim lessons and
Mhm.
and something like that. But there's no like national accreditation that parents could look for in a new city or something like that.
Not that I know of. An example that I think has a good grasp on this is the master's swim program. If you're a
Mm.
master's swimmer and registered, you can go to any master's pool that is a registered and swim. And you
Mm.
can go online and you can see how you rate in your age group. Now, again, that's swimming competitively, so there's a timing to that. But on the swim lesson side, so my wife has her own swim lesson business. She can give a child a card going into the summer said your kid can do this and this and this and this and this based on my wife's curriculum and the structure she follows. But that
Mm.
child goes to another swim program and they look at that card and go, okay, I understand the skill, but we teach it differently. Or we
Mm.
have a different set of criteria. Now, they're all pretty standard: front float, front kick, arms, legs, progress. But there is no national requirement or accountability. As an example, in New Zealand and Western Australia, I partner with a company called Splash Save. And in that country, every third grader, fifth grader, and eighth grader has to pass a swim competency test like they have to pass a PE test
Mm.
because they're taught dry land and in water swimming as part of the school curriculum.
Mm.
Not in the USA. So even to be able to teach swimming, now evaluate swimming. God, I love your questions, Craig. But it's what people like me and hopefully people listening in this field go, we have one in our county. We have one that we've made or one we bought with an accredited program, but it's not national. And it's not something a parent can relate to as they go around the world or the country.
Mm. And so then I'm assuming there's not some aquatics university that a park department could send their aquatics
Yeah.
director to a 1-month program or anything like that. I don't know.
So there are versions of it. There are, I want to say Atlanta, Georgia, don't quote me, but there are degrees you can get in some version of aquatic management. There's a program called Water Shape University. And if you're with, and we all are with somebody, the Red Cross, Jeff Ellis and Associates, Starguard, all of those organizations have management programs, training, certifications. The Medical Fitness Association, my guys David Flinch and Andy Graham, they have a director certification that accredits you to understand medical fitness direction for any medically based fitness center, right? But for swim lessons, you have your own certification under your own umbrella, under your own governing body that has accreditation. And that filter, that silo is good for that. And then you got to go to another company and get that training and certification.
Mm.
And if your park district falls under a specific umbrella, which I'm certain it does, because that's how you got insurance and approvals, you are to meet that guideline of that company that you're assigned to or work with.
Mm. Man, how do the risk assessors from an insurance company insure an aquatic center? They must be pulling their hair out because
If they have any,
right,
or a health inspector who is
right.
not trained to inspect a pool. They're trained to inspect restaurants,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
part of my work, I do court cases, I do court litigation, and do trial expert, subject matter expert work, and we have those conversations. And really, it comes down to, what does your state require? What are the best practices? What governing body are you associated with, right? To be a lifeguard, you have to have a certification, right? There are certification organizations, the American Red Cross. So an insurance company looks at that and says, do you have a viable, accredited certification or training? Yes, we do. Or no, we don't. Now, if you do, how are you implementing the requirements of that? So again, there is accountability, there is structure, but we have to seek it out or get pitched by 20
Yeah.
different companies that want us to have their services.
Yeah.
But as long as you do that, and that's a big as long as you do, but as long as you do that, you can protect yourself.
Yeah.
But like you said, Craig, there's no 1-800 Aquatics Lifeline that you can
Right.
call just to get help universally, nationally.
Right.
It doesn't exist like that.
Yeah, because so in a former life, I used to be a master electrician, and pretty much electricity works the same all over the planet. And
Yeah. Okay.
there's these unions that teach universal laws of electricity and copper, how to make connections and stuff like that. But then they have this what's called an AHG clause, and it basically says in the code book, an authority having jurisdiction, meaning
There you
your local
go.
city, your local state. Um, they can put rules above and beyond the code, but this
Mhm.
is in general how electricity works. This is in general how
Preach.
water is a body of water pretty much in one location is going to be roughly about the same in every location on planet Earth.
Mhm.
And so I would think that there are some general
Okay.
a big chunk of general knowledge that you
Yes.
could get to every pool aquatic center director, and then you have to let them know. Now make sure you check with your local city and your local state if they have any special ordinances. That's on top of everything that we're teaching you.
This is why I love having you as the guest, because it sets this up perfect. MAHQ, the Model Aquatic Health Code. That is the answer.
Mm.
What the Model Aquatic Health Code is in your world, it's a bunch of professional electricians around the world that got together and said, we need to make something because it
Right.
doesn't exist. And so
Right.
that's what the Model Aquatic Health Code is. It's
Yeah.
when they changed CPR 10 years ago, they got all the best cardiologists and heart professionals on the planet and got in a room for weeks and weeks and said, let's change it. And the Model Aquatic Health Code isn't changing things. It's basically being your glossary or your Google of your question, Craig, because it says these are best practices. It says your state might have variability, but it says you got to keep your chemicals here. It says you got to make sure slip and falls are protected. It says you got to have X, Y, and Z. And it's broken down in a way that you don't have to rummage through all the riffraff for your specific point and your specific need or issue or challenge, from flow rates to build design to certifications. It is the be all to end all. The
Yeah.
problem is it's not necessarily, and again, don't send me letters, universally enforceable.
Mm.
It's an education tool. It's a code. It is not required by law. because the model aquatic health code was just a bunch of really smart people, not just getting a room to going, we can't answer Craig's question. Where is our worldly guide? Where is our I woke up and I'm in charge of a pool book now? And so that's what it is. It's a universal breakdown of education that covers a wide and intense variety, but purposeful variety of aquatic knowledge for operations and safety.
Yeah.
But it still avoids your swim lesson answer.
Yeah.
And arguably because it is so unique and so populated specific that swim lessons, what is a swimmer?
Yeah.
What is swim safe? And to put that in writing could cause some real risk. We know that a chemical out of range is bad. But what we could argue is, can this kid swim? Is this kid water safe?
Yeah. Yeah.
My definition of clean in my bathroom is probably different than your definition of clean in your bathroom. Same thing with swimming. Now, there are some general guidelines, they can float, they can whip kick, they can keep their head up for 10 seconds, they can get back to the wall, but that doesn't mean they can swim.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it seems like obviously there has to be some type of rule or guidance on architecture and construction, because I've never seen a public swimming pool without a fence around it. So you can't just run off the parking lot, cannonball into
Model
the
Aquatic
deep.
Health Code, safety, governance, local parameters. That's where each state rule, each state law. If you're not going to do Model Aquatic Health Code, type in Google your state water blank health department code, like Illinois water health code, pool health code, Wisconsin pool health code. Print them off, check them off. And to your point, it's not just a fence, Craig. It's a fence that you cannot crawl under. It's a fence that has to have in Florida. So there's only one national law for Virginia Graham Baker. In Florida, there is a law. Don't quote me on the depth. Rudy Stankiewicz, where are you? My CPO guy, you'll know better. But in Florida, the fence has to be so low to the ground that it can't be, I want to say, within 4 to 6 inches above the ground, because the width of the child's foot, hand, or head and hips could fit under it.
Right.
So it's not just having a fence. Is that fence actively protecting you? And is there a gate lock on it? It gets crazy just for a fence.
Right.
But that's why it's so important, because there's no national government, not government or guideline. I'm not getting into that mess. But the point is, there's no button you can push and say, what do I need to do?
Right. But I would think that before you can convince an insurance company to give you insurance, they've got a little checklist and they're walking around saying, fence this and that kind of stuff. So I would think the insurance companies on their hands, they've got a checklist that you have to check off.
You're spot on there. And it's not just a checklist. We're looking at I know we're going to get into our vendor and our service providers in a few weeks, but that's where they come into play. Is your product insured? Is your rescue tube? Is your filter? Is every piece of specific crazy equipment we have in our pool accounted for legally? So that when the insurance adjuster and provider company comes in and they look at your piece of equipment, can you tell them where you bought it? Can you tell them the warranty? Can you tell them the company you bought it from is a proper pool company? Give you a real example. Pool filter sizes, the circle, right? If I put a home pool filter in my public pool, it's going to be too small. But does my state allow me to do it? It might, because the size of that filter hole and the flow rate might be so comparable that I could get away with it.
Right.
But the insurance company is going to go, hey, man, you turn this thing on, you're going to have an explosion. And you're going to go, whoa, I met my requirements. It doesn't say. And again, I'm using vague examples on purpose, but that's why the insurance company is going to go in, wait a minute, but you met all your requirements, but the insurance company is not going to approve it.
Yeah.
So knowing those differences and knowing why the pipe filter rules are so important and the flow rate is so important is so that when your insurance company comes in, you can say, actually, I meet the requirement. I use the right company. I had a general contractor install it who did the right thing, blah, 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 blah. They put their masks on. They had all the things that we get in trouble for because we know how to get away with the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking that this will probably go into our vendor community. There's got to be some guidance from the architecture, engineering, general contractor that they know how to build a pool according to local standards. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got their license to be able to construct a pool.
Not only do they know how to do it, they know how to tell you where your mistakes are before you even come up with it. And I know we're going to go soon, but I think this is a really important part. If you're in that stage of getting bids, projections, RFPs, quotes, etc., understand how you're going to make money in that pool and what programs you're going to offer along with the design. Because let's say you want a zero depth entry pool, but you also market to seniors. Well, how is a senior going to safely walk into a wide open space with no handle rails and no cushion to fall in zero depth with a wave system in there? No. So again, do I have railings? Do I have handles? Am I even marketing to that population? And lastly, where is my my foundational revenue going to come from? Am I basing this on a membership pitch? So I'm adding aquatics, or is aquatics, like I said when we first talked 4 weeks ago, is my aquatics my bread and butter? And 90% of my revenue is going to come from programming this pool every waking moment. And if I am, I definitely don't want a zero depth entry beach entry, because now I lost my programmatic space.
Right. You know, this reminds me.
If I'm basing it on membership, I want my old people to be able to pay me $100 a month and use the pool however they want.
Yeah. It reminds me, they had this water theme park called Blue Bayou Water Park in Baton Rouge, and they have this massive wave pool, and I mean, maybe 1,000 people are in there. Like, can you imagine?
Can I imagine? Don't give me PTSD. I lived that life, brother. I managed the largest year-round water park in the continental United States, in the Wisconsin Dells. And we would have alerts 30, like at the end of a UFC fight, you get a 10-second bell. Well, our guards would get a 1-minute heads up that the waves were going to start, so that they could start the clock in their head of identifying the most at-risk individuals before the waves even came on.
Yeah.
Because that is it's awesome.
Yeah.
But, woo.
And it seems like every day there was somebody that they needed to dive in there and go get. Like
every hour, probably.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was
and by
great.
no fault of their own, because again, take of just the things we've talked about in the last 4 weeks. Did the parent know the risks when they walked in? Did the parent have a chance to understand what the tube could do? Did they, and again, it's a water park, so I get some of this is hard to do, but how many more things could we do to prepare the lifeguard, or the swimmer in this case, or the parent, for the constant flipping of the tube?
Right.
Or in our case, the first day of swim lessons, right?
Yeah.
Or a brand new instructor. So again, the Aquatics Life. I always say that, I say this a lot, but Oz behind the curtain. That's one of my favorite phrases. The Aquatics Life. If the curtain is the pool, then we got to. If Oz is the pool, we got to put the curtain around it. Is my point, right?
Yeah.
And we live in a fishbowl, right? We are fish in a fishbowl. So we've got to be conscious that everything we do, people can see us.
Yeah.
And I was told that a long time ago, and I believe it. There is no other part of Parks and Recreation, I would contend, that is as visible with the clear windows. We are marketing the fact that we are fish in a fishbowl, but we're not always teaching our team that we are the fish in the fishbowl.
Fantastic. Well, this has been another great episode, and we still have 2 very good topics to cover: revenue, community impact, and then we want to get to like all the vendors and stuff. I knew that when we started this show, we would have like endless content. I'm like, we're going to be struggling. How do we fit all this content in 52 hours in a year? Because there's just so much to cover.
And that's why we're trying hard to break it. Again, I know we get carried away, but trying hard to really segment it each week. But like you said, it's aquatic and water flows. Bruce Lee, right? Be water, let it flow. And so it's hard to contain sometimes. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for another great episode of the Aquatics Life. And so what do you think what's the teaser we want to give them next week that we want to cover?
I think So I want to start getting into the things we're using, right? The products, all of the stuff we do in the water, the rescue tubes and the breathing masks, and the tot docks. And I want to get into the stuff out of the water, the registration systems, the safety tools, the emergency equipment. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have our first guest, Nicole Fearfield from Brunswick, Georgia. and Safe Shore Swims and Georgia Swim School. She's the recreation manager, but as we all know, what that really means is you're the aquatic manager for Brunswick, Georgia. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to dive into all the stuff we touch and feel and use and all the products and systems, and then we'll have Nicole. So excited to build on all that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can't wait to get into all the equipment because, I mean, there's so much stuff that you don't even, if you're just a parent or a swimmer, you're not even counting all the equipment.
Counting is a good word. You're going to have to take your socks and shoes off to get to these numbers for sure.
Fantastic. Well, another great episode here on the Aquatics Life. We're going to be doing this every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where it's all things aquatics with our host, Wesley King. And Wesley, thank you so much for sharing all this mountain of wisdom with us and trying to do the best we can to get the message out there, because obviously there's a need for it since there's not some official national code university that people can attend.
There is not an easy stables button. So we are the easy stables button, my friend.
That's it.
Enjoy your March Madness. Go Fighting Illini. Go Chicago Cubs. And we'll see everybody next Friday.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming, Wesley, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. That's a wrap, Toby. Thank you. Bye.
Before the game, before the lights, before the pressure, there's a moment most people never see. Welcome to the Athlete's Commute, a podcast distributed by DPRS Media Network, co-produced by Her Sports, and hosted by Jordan Ziff. Each episode, Jordan gets behind the wheel, driving athletes to practice, to training, to game day, while getting to know who they really are beyond the jersey. The mindset, the grind, the sacrifices, the moments no one talks about. No scripts, no filters, just real conversations in real motion. Because every athlete has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. This is the Athlete's Commute. Buckle up.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product? Growing your presence in public spaces? Targeting cities, counties, or departments? DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.